Late.
Too late?
Yeah, we're live and no one's on the screen. It's a blank screen. Podfeed is not there. Not at the helm. There she is.
I just like to make a big entrance.
From the side.
Hello. All right, let's see. We're going to do roll call right off the bat. We've got Frank and Jill and John and Sandy and Steve, and that's it. Nobody else. We're not letting anybody else in. They're late. They don't get to come. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Everyone's we're locked. Okay, I'm locking down the chat room.
Lock the door.
Yeah, there's a new command. Let no one else in.
That's right.
We should do a sound check unless you've already done it while I was gone.
I have not done it. Let's do that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm ready for that. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com. Okay, playback. And that's not over far enough. That's why I waited so long. Okay, so there's nothing on. No, it didn't record anything. Why? Why? Record Al's mic. Okay. Al's mic is running. Hello. That's neat.
Nothing coming in.
We should have checked this. No, it's empty.
How does sound source look?
Said it recorded Al's mic. And Al's mic is being created by, you know what? I wonder, I got an idea. I've been quitting Loopback because it's been on my nerves. I bet that's why. Wait, but, yeah. Let's see. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com. And there's nothing there. Well, that's curious. We should have done a sound check on me all that time we worried about you.
Well, yeah, I was.
You just froze.
Probably because I'm doing things on my Mac that
you shouldn't be.
Little processing. Well, I'm setting up for things I would normally do earlier.
Okay, I'm going to stop and start. Well, that looks fine. Let me see what old sound source is up to. You never know. Let's see what happens if I change this just to my mic instead of my virtual source. Okay, this is me recording my actual mic. Yeah.
That seemed to work.
Yeah, it's the virtual source, so that's good because I can do without it. I mean, it's not ideal, but Loopback is there. And I was messing around with Loopback a bunch. Al's mic, and nothing's coming in and out of Al's mic. I know.
I think I can't hear you anymore. Does anyone else hear Allison? Yeah, we both are having audio issues. Her mouth moves, but no sound. Maybe she had the same problem I did.
Can you talk and entertain the audience?
Okay, I'll try. So Allison's going to have to work something here. She wants me to entertain the audience. What can we do? I'll tell you what. I made a video recently. And the video was of a balloon launch. I'm not good at jokes, Jill. I'm not really good. So I'll give you a link to a YouTube video. Oh, you already saw it? Did I do this last week? The balloon video?
What?
Messed up. Okay. Oh, wait. I heard you. Speak? Oh, maybe not. Now you're gone. Can't hear you now. So, where are we here? Let me go to the balloon video. I can hear you finally. How much playback do you have? Oh. Oh. Well, I promised send some balloon video, so I'm going to deliver.
Okay. Well, I got to make a decision now whether to proceed or not proceed, Steve.
Oh, go ahead and proceed.
I'm going to proceed without rebooting. Okay. All right. I'm going to assume you can hear me, and I've got Discord going in this, but you will not be able to hear playback, I don't think. Unless, no, none of this is working. This is awesome.
So this loopback, not sound source, that's causing the problem?
Correct. Loopback is not looping back. I can try killing it one more time. Let me try one more time. Let me try to force quit it and see if it'll force quit. Here we go. Al's mic is on. No. Loopback's not working. All right, here we go. So I can't hear my own voice either, so that's neat. Oh, yeah, everything's a mess, Kurt. Steve had to reboot, and I probably should reboot, but I'm not going to. I'm going to persevere. And my voice is going. That's fun. Okay, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, November 17th, 2024, and this is show number 1019. I feel funny not starting a new section without giving the chapter noise, but the bumper, but it also sounds weird to start with a bumper, I think. We decided not to, right?
Yeah, I think it does.
Oh, I know. No, this one is going to have a bumper. Because it's tiny tips.
It's a tiny tip. It has its own bumper, a dedicated bumper.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to speak a little bit.
Oh, did we forget roll call?
No, I did roll call at 5 o'clock, and we said we weren't going to let anybody else in. Look at all these people you let in.
Who did we let in? PDX Kurt.
And Frank. That's okay.
Frank,
we like
Frank
them.
Was there, I thought.
No, it was just the ladies and John. All right, I'm going to just do a little blurb here. Let's see, where am I? Well, let's go ahead and dig right into the show. Okay, I'm going to do a tiny tip. I'm going to put that right there. Let's see how that is. Well, let's go ahead and dig right into the show.
That sounded cut off.
I stopped.
No, at the beginning? Clipped off at the beginning?
It wasn't.
Okay.
Here we go. I mean, you can hear it again if you want. The gap was a little big. if that's what was bothering you.
No,
But
not
I'm
not the
kind of
gap.
fighting with
It
the fact
was
that one music piece was not. Go ahead and dig right into the show. Well, I'm back with part 9 of Tiny Mac Tips. This is an ongoing series I started in order to teach Jill from the North Woods how to move from an adequate Mac user to a proficient one. In case you missed the earlier installments, I've included links to the first 8 installments in the show notes. I do want to ask you a philosophical question before I start. If the tips I'm going to give you truly are tiny, but because I want to be thorough, they take me a long time to explain, do they really still count as Tiny Mac Tips? And while we're asking a philosophical question, why do I call this Tiny Mac Tips? Is the Mac tiny? Maybe it should have been called Mac Tiny Tips. Oh, well, here we are. I've been doing it for long enough that we're going to stick with the name. Now, I only have 3 tiny tips in this segment, but 2 of them were fun, so I really dug into them. If you need to do a lot of scanning, you probably have a flatbed scanner, or better yet, one of those fancy multi-sheet scanners. But what if you don't have room for one of those devices, or you're mostly paperless already and only occasionally need to scan in a receipt or some random piece of paper? If you're a Mac OS and iOS user, you can use your iOS device to scan right into your Mac. Now, Apple uses the word continuity to describe a whole slew of services that let you use your Apple devices in concert with each other. One of those features is called Continuity Camera, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, you may have heard of Continuity Camera in the context of using an iPhone as a webcam, but Continuity Camera also lets you use your iOS device's camera as a scanner. Before I explain how easy this is, let's quickly walk through the requirements. Both your Mac and your iOS device must have Wi-Fi turned on, but they don't have to be connected to any Wi-Fi network. They both must have Bluetooth turned on, and you must be signed into the same Apple account on both devices that use two-factor authentication. That might sound obvious, but you also need to have the iOS device near the Mac for it to work. Let's start with my favorite way to scan into my Mac, and that's straight into the Finder. Let's say you have a folder for receipts. Open it up in any view where you can see some empty space, where when you click, you won't be clicking on any existing files. Right-click in that empty space to see the contextual menu. You'll see the usual suspects like New Folder, Get Info, and more, but at the bottom you should see Import from iPhone or iPad with a chevron looking over to the right. Move over the chevron and you'll see the name of your device, and below that 3 options. You'll see Take Photo, Scan Documents, and Add Sketch. Now you can play around with Take Photo and Add Sketch on your own time. We're doing serious business here, so we're going straight to Scan Documents. Now, I'm going to just say iPhone from here on out, but you understand this applies to all iOS devices. As soon as you choose Scan Documents, even if your phone was locked at the time, its camera will turn on. You'll see the camera shutter button, and above that, it will say, Position the document in view. Now simply hover your phone over the document you want to scan. As soon as the camera recognizes there's a rectangular area to scan, it will highlight it in blue and automatically scan the document. If you only need to scan that one page, simply hit Save and you're done. The camera will shut off, your phone will go back to the lock screen, and in Finder you'll see a new document called scandocument.pdf. That's literally it. In 4.7 seconds, you have scanned a document into your Mac. That's how I can prove that this is a tiny tip. That was the whole tip. But you know I can't stop there. What if you have a multi-page document? No problem. After you scan the first page, instead of hitting Save, simply move your camera so it can't see anything to scan, flip the page over, bring the camera back, and hover over the second page. The scanner function will add that second page to the PDF, and you can keep going until your entire document is scanned, and only then hit the Save button. But what if you make a mistake on a page? You can tap on it right after you take it, and you'll get the option to retake the shot. Along the bottom, you'll also see controls to rotate the scan or crop it before moving on. There's also a 3-circle icon that will let you adjust the color to grayscale, black and white, or photo. Finally, you get a trash can if you just want to delete that one page. Now, I've explained how the camera automatically scans a document when it finds anything that looks like a candidate to be scanned, and how you have to move your camera away while you're flipping the pages so it doesn't scan by mistake. This might sound stressful, or perhaps you'd like a little more control. If that's the case, when the camera comes up to scan, in the upper right, tap the word auto and it will switch to manual. Once you're in the manual mode, when the camera recognizes the document by showing you the blue rectangle over it, the shutter button won't automatically be activated and scan the document. You have to tap it to take the scan. After you scan each page, you'll have the opportunity to adjust the corners of the scan, retake it, or keep the scan before moving on. Now that I think about it, I might change it to manual myself because it does sound less stressful. It might take me a little longer to get the job done, but I'm always wildly swinging my arm around behind my back to hide the documents from my phone while I'm turning the page. Also at the top, when the scanner is active, you'll see the same 3-circle icon I mentioned earlier, which lets you change the mode to grayscale, black and white, or photo for all subsequent scans. If you don't have good lighting for your scanning, there's a lightning bolt at the top of the at the top of the screen that will let you control the flash. I use Scan from iPhone all the time on my Mac, even though we have a flatbed scanner and a fancy sheet feed scanner. For the few documents I need to scan, and they're already sitting on my desk, it's far easier for me to grab my iPhone and make the scan. While I scan primarily into Finder, you can also use this technique to scan directly into Mail or Messages. Now that's an interesting idea because it means you can send a document to someone without saving it locally first. You can also scan directly into Keynote, Numbers, Pages, Notes, or TextEdit. Now you might think that your hardware is too old for continuity camera, but there's a good chance you're in luck. According to Apple's support article about scanning with continuity camera, all iPhones, iPads, and even iPod Touches running iOS 12 or later can be used as scanners. Running macOS Mojave or later, Macs as old as 2012 MacBook Pros, Airs, Minis, and iMacs can run continuity camera for scanning. Even the MacBook introduced in 2015 can play. The Mac Pro from 2013 and the Mac Studio enjoy all the fun too. Every time I use the scan function with my iPhone, I appreciate even more the connective tissue between all of my Apple devices. I just thought of something.
Connective tissue.
I know, right? It might be helpful for people to have a link or a bookmark right to the particular piece of this.
You mean each
like
of the
scan,
tiny tips?
Yeah, scan from iPhone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me try this. I do want to ask you a philosophical. Okay, it was after philosophical. If you need to do a lot of, there it is. Let's do it. Now you are going to have a lot of trouble figuring out how many chapters there should be.
Yeah, you're going to make me think.
And you know what I could use?
A rye?
No, I could put the link to, I think I have the link to the article. No, that's not the support article.
I just put the support article in the chat.
Oh, good. It was in there. Where is it?
You may think your hardware is too old. That paragraph.
Okay, there you go. So the chapter will be scanning, but the link will be the support article. I think that's a cool idea. And now since I stopped, I can put another chapter mark here for quick look. Good luck counting the chapters, honey. So there's going to be 3 more. Oh, I haven't saved. Kevin's not here and I forgot to save.
Yes.
So when you do your chapter count, even though Kevin's not here to remind you, you still have to do a chapter count. You got to add 3 to it.
Okay, so you have one for the overall blog post and then one for each of the tiny tips in it.
Yeah, and I don't think I have I don't have a link for the second one. I didn't put one in there.
All right.
If anybody wants find a support article on Quick Look I could link to, they can drop it in here. I remembered, but will I remember in a half an hour? That's the question, Sandy. All right.
You do have a post to the Wikipedia article on Quick Look.
Yeah, that's not very helpful.
Not the same.
I bet somebody will look it up for me. I could go back and drop it in. Okay, here we go. On your Mac, if you've ever been looking at some files and you're not sure which is the right one, you could double-click each file and have it open in its default application to see if it's the one you want, close it, and double-click the next candidate, rinse and repeat. This process is tedious, and there's an easier way. One of the hidden gems of macOS is called Quick Look. If you simply select a file in Finder and hit the spacebar, it will pop open in a little viewer in front of you. If the selected file is an image file, you'll see the image. If it's an audio file, the pop-up window will have an audio player button so you can listen to it. Remember, you still haven't opened it, but you've got it right there where you can play it. If it's a PDF, the pop-up window will not only show you the first page, if it's a multi-page document, it'll have a little sidebar of thumbnails so you can flip between pages. Word, Pages, and plain text format files open with Quick Look allow you to read them. Even video files will play inside Quick Look. Whatever file you investigate with Quick Look, look in the upper right and you'll see an option to open in, which will allow you to open the open the document, I should say, in your default application for that format. Steve, can you fix that? Do you know where I am in the 2 paragraphs above Control the Doc?
No,
It says,
I was off trying to
okay, do
copy
you see where
something else.
Control the Doc says?
At the beginning of the paragraph?
No, it's a paragraph that starts with one of the hidden gems.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, the last sentence, it says, which will open the app in your default app. It should be open the document in your default app. That's why I stuttered, because I might read that again.
Open the document in the default app.
Whatever file, yeah. Since I'm stopped anyway. Whatever file you investigate with Quick Look, in the upper right, whatever file you investigate with Quick Look, look in the upper right and you'll see an option to open in. That'll open the document in your default application for that format. I've been using Quick Look pretty much since its inception 17 years ago, and I have a bonus tip I only learned about Quick Look this week from Adam Christensen during a recent Mac Geek Gab. He explained that Quick Look works in the open dialog box too. Let's say you open TextEdit, and you're offered the open dialog box to choose a file to open from the Finder, but you see a list of files and you don't know which one you want to open. If you hit the spacebar on each file after selecting them, from the open dialog box, you'll still be able to check the contents before opening it. I guess it makes sense that it's there, but it absolutely never occurred to me to use Quick Look inside an open dialog box. Basically, anywhere you can see a Finder view, Quick Look is probably there to help you see inside files without opening them. Now, did you know that? That's one of the main reasons you're not running FreeBSD. Did you guys know that you could open Quick Look in the open dialog box? Nope. Yeah. Adam said it, and I was just like, what? Mind blowing. All right.
So you're going to
PDFs
put another
are
chapter
easy.
mark?
I did, yeah, Control
Okay.
the Doc. But I don't know if I have a support article for it. When I'm done, let me know if I passed one. All right. Nobody looked up the support article for Quick Look, huh? Bumper. Yeah. I'm not done with Tiny Tips yet, so I think I'm going to stick with it without the bumper. I could do a bumper. Nah, I'm going to keep going.
No.
Okay.
But this is still the same article.
Yeah.
Bumpers go between articles, not sections of
Okay.
an article.
We have rules. Jill the anarchist is just throwing bumpers out everywhere. I should save though. Here we go. As you've undoubtedly noticed, macOS provides us with a dock across the bottom of our screens to allow quick access to our applications. For seasoned Mac users, this might be a bit rudimentary of a starting point, but I don't want to leave anybody behind. I'm going to dive deep into the dock, so there may even be a nugget for you that you didn't know. Spoiler, I learned a few things researching how to explain the dock. The first thing to know about the dock is that you don't have to keep any application in your dock you don't care about. I see people all the time with apps they never use in their dock, and they don't realize they can just get rid of them. It's very simple to remove applications. Click and drag them out of the dock until you see the word remove above the icon, and then simply let go. In the old days, we used to get a cute little puff of smoke when we removed an app, but they took the joy out of that now, and it just kind of makes a sound. Sort of a poof of smoke sound, but it doesn't give me as much joy. Now, if you want to rearrange applications in your dock, click and drag them left and right to change the order. If you accidentally drag an application out of the dock, They're easy to add, too. To add applications to the dock for quick access, simply drag them from the Applications folder into the dock. As you approach the dock with this new application, the existing applications will slide apart to make room for their new friend. On the far right side of the dock, you'll see a vertical splitter, and it has magical powers. Okay, maybe not magical, but it has some really cool features. I've been saying all through this that we can put applications in the dock, but we can also put folders and files in the dock, but only if you put them on the right side of the magical splitter. Since it's so easy to drag things in and out of the dock, you can feel free to drag folders down into it that you want quick access to maybe this week, but perhaps not next week. You can just drag things in and out at abandon. Just not at abandon. Since it's so easy. Since it's so easy to drag things in and out of the dock, you can feel free to drag folders down into it that you want quick access to this week, but maybe you don't need next week. You can drag it back out later. This can be a real time saver for accessing files. Did you know that if you click and drag up and down on the vertical splitter, the dock embiggens and shrinks the icons? I thought that was a fun one. I do that one all the time. If you have multiple displays, have you ever had the problem where applications are opening on the wrong screen? It seems to happen, and I don't know what causes it. But if you click and drag up and down on the vertical splitter a little bit on the display where you want application to open, it moves that focus over to that display and it fixes the problem. Like I said, I wish I knew why it goes wrong like that, but I'm glad to know this quick and easy fix. If you right-click on the splitter, you get a small menu of options to modify the dock. From this little contextual menu, you can turn on hiding, so it disappears and reappears when you move your cursor away from the bottom of the screen and back down. You can also toggle hiding off if that gets on your nerves. If you have a lot of applications and folders and files in your dock, the icons might start to get really tiny, especially if you have a smaller screen. From this contextual menu, you can turn on magnification so that as you drag your cursor across the icons, they get larger and much easier to see. I've been talking all along about the dock being on the bottom of your screen, but from this contextual menu, you can change it to the left or right side of the screen. It seems much more logical to take up some width on the screen by putting it on one of the sides, since our screens are wider than they are tall. But every time I try it that way, I end up putting it back on the bottom because it doesn't work for some reason or another for me. On the Mac, you can hide applications in several ways. You can use the yellow button in the upper left of the window for the application. You can click on the running application's name and select Hide from the drop-down menu, or you can use the keystroke Command-H. If you're not using Stage Manager, whoa, what happened to my voice? That was fun. Or you can use the keystroke Command-H. If you're not using Stage Manager, all of these methods will cause the application to swoosh down into the dock. With our little contextual menu from the right-clicking on the divider in the dock, we can change the animation you see during that swoosh. If you don't like a lot of folderol, choose Scale, and the app will very quickly scale down to disappear into the dock. But if you like a little bit of whimsy in your life, you might enjoy the genie effect for hiding. With the genie effect, your applications will squish down like the cartoon genie Robin Williams played in Aladdin going back into the lamp. My main goal in bringing up the dock for a tiny tip, well, this is going on quite a long time for a tiny tip, but my main goal was to make sure you knew that you have a lot of control over the functionality, look, and feel right from the dock. If you want even more control, in that same right click on the divider contextual menu, you can get to even more options with dock settings. This opens up system settings, desktop, and dock, where the top third of the panel is all about changes you can make to the dock. There's not a lot more you can do right from the... Not more. Oh, there you go. There's not a lot more in there than you can do right from the dock, but there are a few extras. Things like how big do the icons get when you have them embiggen as you slide across them. Now, I promise this is the last dock-related tip unless I change my mind and I think of another one. If you do add folders to your dock, you've got quite a few controls at your fingertips. As you've probably noticed, a single click on the folder will show you the items in the folder. But did you know you can immediately open the Finder by Option Command clicking on that folder? I have to give credit to John Siracusa for talking about this on a recent episode of the Accidental Tech Podcast, so I just learned this one this week as well. Right-clicking on the folder gives you an altogether new contextual menu with tons of options. You can change the sort by criteria in the folder contents that pop up on a single click. You can choose whether to display the folder as a single folder icon or as a stack of folder and files in the dock. You get to decide how the items in the folder are displayed when you click on the icon. Fan will pop up the list of items in a curve to the right, as though, you've kind of fanned a pile of folders and files out on a desk. Grid will give you a view much like the icon view in Finder, while List will give you essentially the Finder list view with little chevrons to the right on any folders, allowing you to navigate into them and open any files within with a single click. I've got to admit to you that I never use the dock to access files in folders, but now that I found that list view, I'm actually thinking I might use it. I did use it today. Now, there's also an option of automatic under View Contents As, and I was too lazy to go through and run a bunch of tests to see what kind of contents will cause automatic to change from fan to grid to list. I'll leave that as an exercise for the student. For files and folders, and even applications, right-clicking gives you an options menu that includes Remove from Dock. That's in case you didn't already know, you could simply drag it out, and Show in Finder. On applications, Show in Finder won't be all that exciting because I think you know where your applications are, but for files and folders, that could be valuable. Remember when I said I promised I was done with the dock unless I thought of something else? Well, I forgot all about the fun you can have with Finder in the dock. With a right-click, you can open a new Finder window, create a new smart folder, or with the Find option, it'll open a Finder window with a cursor in the search box and kind set to any, ready for you to build a detailed smart search of your drive. In the contextual menu on Finder and Dock, you can also choose Go to Folder. This lets you type in a path to the folder. This is the same functionality as using the Go menu in Finder or using Command-Shift-G to navigate to a folder. It kind of seems to me that if you're a type in a path kind of person, you're unlikely to also be a two-finger tap on the Finder icon in the dock type of person, but it's there if you want it. Now, I honestly never noticed it before, but you can also see your most recently accessed folders in a list in that same contextual menu on the Finder icon in the dock. That might be handy. Now, whether you're looking at the contextual menu for files, folders, applications, or the Finder, you always see the option to decide which desktop the item will open in. This is relevant for Spaces users, and I'm assuming they'll understand what those options mean. Have you ever been working on your Mac and the Finder gets its panties in a bunch? This happened to me just this week. I was trying to move a 44 kilobyte screenshot file, and I got the spinning pizza wheel of death. I used the X to stop the transfer, tried it again, and Finder locked up again. Well, the solution to a jammed up Finder is to relaunch the Finder, and you can do this right from the dock. Instead of right-clicking on the Finder icon, hold down the Option key and then right-click on the Finder. This will add a relaunch to the contextual pop-up menu. Stopped for no reason. When Finder couldn't seem to move that tiny PNG, I chose Relaunch in this way. Finder disappeared and came back in a split second. I tried to move that itty-bitty file, and it moved without issue. I basically saved myself a reboot right there. In System Settings, we can define which applications launch at login, but I find System Settings a tedious place to go hunting for things nowadays. They keep moving things and adding things, and search is at best maybe 72% successful at finding anything. Case in point, I dare you to search in System Settings for login items. It finds nothing. Now, if you have an app in your dock, you can change whether it launches at login right from the dock. I did not know this until I started working on this article. If you right-click on the icon for the app and choose Options, you get an option to change Open at Login. Better yet, it's a toggle. So if an app is opening at login, but you want it to stop, simply uncheck Open at Login and it will stop. I think that sub tiny tip was worth the price of admission. I know this Tiny Mac tip session was really more of a deep dive into two of them, but in reality, these three tips are: you can use your iPhone or iPad or even iPod Touch as a scanner for your Mac. Quick Look will let you peek inside files without opening them, and the dock is highly customizable and has functionality built into it that you might not have known about. Whew. All right, I got to ask. Did anybody know that Command Option Click on a folder in the a folder or file in the dock opens it? Did you guys know that one?
Whoops.
Nope.
I tried it on a folder and everything else just blanked out.
Blanked out?
Yes. All my applications went away. How do I get that back?
Command Tab back to whatever and it'll probably bring everything back. You never put folders in the dock? I'm going to start.
Wow. Did
you get it back, Steve?
Yeah, I'm having to select each application to bring them back.
Do you have Stage Manager on by any chance?
Nope. I just did Command Option Click on a folder on my desktop.
I didn't say on your desktop.
I know.
To be in the dock.
I did it wrong. But it's a new feature. If you want everything to go away except your desktop items.
There you go. Is that a new tiny tip, Steve?
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Oh, bumper.
Oh.
And copy link. Anybody reminding me to save?
Save.
Oh, so I not even Kurt knew that one. Cool. Yeah, I didn't know it. Let's see. Here on this, I think that's gonna be too quick. Might not have known about. Don't worry about that.
All right.
I just want to make sure it was doing what I thought it was going to do. Okay. Whoops. Whoops, whoops, whoop. This is a funny article. I like this one. Way back in 2021, when Apple introduced macOS Ventura, they gave us a feature in Safari called Tab Groups. They said that it would help us to keep tab groups... Nope. Oh, good, Kurt. Way back in 2021, when Apple introduced macOS Ventura, they gave us a feature in Safari called Tab Groups. They said that it would help us to keep tab groups organized and make them easier to find again later. You know me, I love a new feature, so I gave it a try. To use tab groups, you select the little button in the upper left of a Safari window to open the sidebar. This sidebar includes bookmarks, reading lists, shared with you, iCloud tabs, whatever those are, and also tab groups. You can also toggle visibility of that sidebar. Stuttering a lot. You can also toggle visibility of the sidebar with Command-Shift-L. The idea of tab groups is that you open a bunch of tabs you want to group together, and then you use the plus button with tab group selected, and then you name that tab group. Now, every time you come back to this sidebar, you can select that tab group, and it reopens all of them as a set at the same time. Wow, that sounded swell, but it wasn't at all swell, at least for me. My problem is that the tabs in a tab group aren't maintained if you do anything else while that tab group is open. For example, let's say one of the tabs in your tab group was to your Mastodon homepage. You see a post with a link to a nifty picture from NASA's astronomy picture of the day. You decide to follow the link to see the full-sized image in full format over on APOD. Boom, you've just changed your tab group. Now, if you're lucky, the link opened in a new tab and all you did was just add APOD to your tab group. But if it didn't open a new tab, you've now lost Mastodon in your tab group and replaced it with APOD. How annoying is that? Anything you do while in a tab group other than simply scrolling and reading each tab will destroy that tab group. Upon this discovery, I abandoned tab groups as a feature I would ever use. Fast forward 2 years ago when Apple introduced macOS Sonoma with a feature in Safari called Profiles. That's not 2 years ago, that's last year. Can you change that, Steve? Fast forward to 2 years ago. Oh, no. It is right. It's supposed to be fast forward 2 years. Fast forward. Yeah, it's not incorrect. Link can't find page. Huh. That APOD link? What's wrong with my link? It works for me. Something about the way he pasted it? Steve? Steve?
I
Steve?
fixed it.
You fixed it? Okay, there we go. I wonder why that got messed up. Because it's right in my blog post there. Here we go. Fast forward 2 years when Apple introduced macOS Sonoma with a feature in Safari called Profiles. They pitched Profiles as a way to keep your browsing separate for topics like work, personal, or school. They explained that each profile would have separate history, cookies, website data, extension, tab groups, and favorites. I could see how Profiles would be a great way to switch contacts between work, personal, and school, even though I don't have those particular contacts. Now, you look at the podcast. You could look at the podcast that I do, all the work that I do as work, if you wanted to, and I suppose in a way it is. Don't make stuff up. You could look at the podcast as work if you wanted to, and I suppose in a way it is, but it's a core part of what I consider fun online, so the distinction between the podcast and play for me, it's kind of tenuous at best. But I immediately thought of one type of web browsing I would like to keep distinctly separate, and that's my social media account access. While I use a dedicated app for Mastodon, and I click lots of links and I contribute often there, sites like Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, and LinkedIn are a much more passive service for me. I go to Instagram primarily to see photos of my daughter and granddad. Jeez, why can't I keep up? I can't do like 2 sentences. I go to Instagram. I go to Instagram primarily to consume photos my daughter and daughter-in-law post of my grandchildren. While I'm there, I may scroll a wee bit just to see how Tom Merritt's new dog 7 is doing, and then I'm pretty much done with Instagram for the day. I'm not much into Facebook these days, but I go to the NosillaCast Facebook group regularly to post about new content from the podcast. I then forward those posts to my personal account on Facebook because, shockingly, some of my real-life friends actually read and listen to the drivel I generate. I usually check my notifications while I'm there on Facebook, and then I move on. Blue Sky and Threads are starting to be pretty interesting, so after posting my latest podcast content, I usually have a bit of a scroll there too. When I decided to stop participating on Twitter for obvious reasons, I replaced that with LinkedIn. I've never been much of a participant there, but I figured, why not let the people there share in the fun of my podcast content? All of these accounts are most assuredly tracking me, so having them sequestered in a separate profile sounded ideal. And since there are distinct sites I want to visit and I don't want to visit other sites, this also sounds like I'd finally found a use for tab groups. I just want to go there and I don't want to go anywhere else from there. Now, I can hear you yelling right now that I should use a Safari private browsing window for this activity. That certainly is a great way to keep all that cross-site tracking nonsense at bay, but private browsing windows don't allow you to make tab groups. This makes sense since tab groups are synced through iCloud, and that would be leaking data. The whole point of private browsing is that Apple promised us that data wouldn't leak out. So, to create a profile, in Safari settings, use the plus button to add a profile. This will automatically create a personal default profile along with the new one. Apple gives us a lot of tools to make the profiles look and feel different, so we're aware of our contacts when we're working. I named my new profile Meta, since that would remind me of evil tracking. You can choose a symbol that will appear next to the name, so I chose fire to remind me of burning things down. I left my personal profile with the default symbol of a person from the shoulders up. Oddly, you only get a choice of like 5 different little icons. I don't know why they're so restrictive. You can also choose a profile color scheme. I went back to my personal profile and I chose a lovely lavender because Sandy and I really like that color. For my meta profile, I chose a dark, dismal, boring gray. In the General tab of Safari settings, you tell the browser how you want new windows and tabs to open. You have quite a list to choose from. You've got Start Page, Home Page, Empty Page, Same Page, Tab for Favorites, or even choose a tabs folder. For your new profile, you make that choice in the Profiles tab, not over in the General tab. So for my meta profile, I chose the Start Page for both my personal... No, don't ad-lib. That's not what the script said. General tab. Files tab, not over in the General tab. I chose Start Page for both my personal and meta profiles for new windows. Within the Profiles tab, there's a sub-tab for extensions, and that lets you choose which extensions are active for this profile. I perused them and decided the meta profile wouldn't get to have the 1Password extension, so I'd be less likely to log into a site other than my set of social media tabs. Now when I open a new window in my personal profile, the background is a lovely lavender with little person icons sprinkled across it and my favorites and a nice grid for quick choosing. In the upper left, I see the person, and it says Personal, and it's highlighted in lavender. In contrast, when I open my meta profile, the entire Start Page window is that dismal gray with little white flames on it. And in the top bar of Safari, it says Meta with the flame, and it's highlighted in dismal gray. All of this makes it very obvious which profile I'm in. And one thing that helps me use profiles is that you can switch between them with a keystroke. Option-Shift-Command-0 opens a new Safari window in your default profile. Option-Shift-Command-1 creates a new window in your second profile, which in my case is my meta profile. When I'm in Post the Show mode, using those keystrokes is a quick way for me to jump in and get the job done. Now, if you're not a keyboard junkie, or you might not do this often enough to remember the keystroke, you can select the current profile name, and in the dropdown, you'll see the option to switch to the other profile windows. If you choose to switch, the current window will close and the selected profile will open. From the same drop-down menu, you can choose to create a new window in the existing profile or in one of your other profiles. By the way, if you're into focus modes, Apple's support article about profiles explains that you can add a focus filter that automatically switches to a specific profile in Safari. Once I created the meta profile, I used File, New Tab Group, and I opened each of my social media sites arranged in my preferred order. Because I'm using this profile for such distinctly different purpose than my normal web browsing, I'm very conscious of the fact that I'm using this fragile tab group concept. That keeps me focused on the task at hand, and I don't wander off following links. I get in, do what I came to do, and then I close the meta profile window. I'm much more productive not having that open. Now, the cherry on top of this new method is that it syncs to my iPad and iPhone, so I have access to both profiles no matter my device. It's a little bit harder to get to the Switch Profiles section, but it's not too bad. In Safari on the iPhone, tap the double square in the bottom right of the screen over by the URL bar. This is the one that brings up all your tabs in a grid. Below that is an icon in the middle that looks like a bulleted list. That brings up another set of options, and at the bottom it says Profile. Next to that is a drop-down that shows, or maybe it's a drop-up, that shows you the name of your current profile, and you can switch to any other profile. At this point, the grid is each of the social media sites that I have in my tab group, and I can go into each one. So for the first 6 months... Wait. Okay, now there's a funny part. For the first 6 months or so that I've been using tab groups in my meta profile, my process has been to use the keystroke to invoke a new meta window. Then I use Command-Shift-L to open the sidebar. I tap on my meta tab group, which opens all the tabs. I use Command-Shift-L to close the sidebar. And it doesn't close the tab group. Can you see where I am, Steve? I'm right after the word epiphany, first paragraph. It should say yes. I use Command-Shift-L to close the sidebar, not the tab group.
Sidebar, not tab group.
Thank you. I use Command-Shift. Then I use Command-Shift-L to open the side. Then I use Command-Shift-L to open the sidebar. I tap on my meta tab group, which opens all of the tabs, and then I use Command-Shift-L to close that sidebar. But just as I was about to finish up this article, I had an epiphany. Remember early on I explained that in Safari settings for each profile, you could choose what opens with a new page or a new tab? I told you I chose the Start page. I went on and on and on about how lovely it was to see the big lavender background for my personal profile and dismal gray for my Meta profile. Turns out in that dropdown for how to start a new window in my Meta profile, one of the options was Tabs for Meta. I didn't know what that meant. I changed to Tabs for Meta, and new windows opened with the 6 social media sites I originally used for my tab group for my Meta profile. So I wasn't using the tab group, but it was the same 6 that I had originally used. I emphasize originally because the tabs that opened included Twitter but did not include LinkedIn. Now remember, I removed Twitter and I replaced it with LinkedIn. So that means Tabs for Meta wasn't using my current tab group. I went hunting for an explanation. I looked at this new window for my Meta profile, and since I choose to show the favorites bar in Safari, I could see that the tab group was identical to the favorites bar. No. Shoot, there's another mistake. It's not the tab group. Can you see the paragraph I'm on, dear?
No. Where are you?
The paragraph starts with, I looked at this new window.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The sentence should end in, I could see that the open tabs were identical to the favorites bar. So instead of tab group was, it should be open tabs were.
Okay.
You got it?
All right.
Okay, thanks. I looked at this new window for my Meta profile, and since I choose to show the favorites bar in Safari, I could see that the open tabs were identical to the favorites bar. I saw Twitter up there, but not LinkedIn, so this was a clue. It's something to do with those favorites. Well, my first thought was to go into bookmark favorites, remove Twitter, and put in LinkedIn. But that's when I got even more confused. When I opened bookmarks in the sidebar of Safari with my Meta profile active, the list was identical to what I see when I'm on my personal profile. But Safari windows open in my personal profile have an entirely different set of sites for the favorites bar. I looked at the folders and bookmarks, and as expected, I saw a folder called Favorites with a little star next to it. That contained the favorites for my personal profile. So where are the favorites coming from for the Meta profile? I scanned down the very long list of bookmarks I have. I use it kind of like a junk drawer. I don't organize it. I don't manage it. I just throw junk in there, so it's very long. Way down near the bottom, I found a folder called Meta. In there, I found the 5 original social media sites, or is it 6? Anyway, I found the original social media sites that are shown in my favorites bar for my Meta profile. I deleted X-Twitter from that folder, and that deleted it from my favorites bar in my Meta profile. I added LinkedIn to that folder, and now that shows in the favorites bar. Even better, opening a new window to my Meta profile now opens links to the new and improved list of social media sites, not including Twitter. I know that was a really confusing explanation, but that's because it's very confusing. Let me try to attempt to make it clear. On your personal default profile, the favorites bar is in the bookmarks folder with a star next to it, and it's called favorites. But in any other profile you create, you'll have a bookmarks folder with the name of the profile, and that's where your favorites are for that folder. In Safari settings, if you want your favorites to open, when you open a new window for that profile, choose tabs for name of your profile, and you'll be golden. I went back into my bookmarks and I added the flame emoji to the name of my Meta folder so that I'd remember that was a special folder, and I moved it way up near the top. I should point out, all of this is explained in the Apple support article, but it's easily as confusing as I've made it here. Let me give you an example. There's a sentence in the support article that says, the favorites bar is shared only between profiles that are set up to use the same favorites folder. Now, the words set up to use the same favorites folder is a link. And I thought, great, I can go learn more by hitting that link. But the link takes you to the same support article you're already reading. In fact, I think it takes you back to the top, so it doesn't help you understand that at all. But back to my epiphany. The whole point of this article, and the way I even titled it, was how I'd finally found a use for tab groups. But now that my new Meta profile opens with those 6 social media sites, I don't need the tab group. Even better, I'm free to navigate away from these tabs. I can add tabs, I can close tabs, because when I open a fresh window to my Meta profile, all 6 of those tabs come right back. I even saved myself the extra step of opening the left sidebar with Command-Shift-L to get to the tab group and then closing it with Command-Shift-L. This method of opening to favorites is better than tab groups in every single way. Bottom line is I didn't get what I expected out of this article. I thought I'd be raving about tab groups, but I still find them too touchy and fragile to be useful. But I did learn how to use profiles to have a set of social media tabs that can track me between them, but not pollute my personal profile. I also found a pretty easy and quick way to open them all at once, do what I want to do in there, and get back out.
So I totally lost the change. I went to search on tab groups, and it occurs like 120 times in this article.
Yeah.
So I could not find...
Here, where was I?
Something about replacing sidebar with tab groups. By the way, do I have to go into the HTML? Can I edit from just the plain text?
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah.
If there's nothing squirrely about it?
I mean, if you're not trying to mess with the HTML, don't even look at it.
That would be so much easier, because I have to kind of re-find the error when I go into the HTML version.
I looked at this new window. There it is. So the paragraph starts with, I looked at this new window.
Got it.
Okay.
And changed.
Halfway through, the tab group should be open tabs were.
No, I can't edit it in preview.
I didn't say you could do it in preview. I said you asked, could you do it in the plain text version? I tell you what.
Well, all I have is the
take
HTML.
Take a screenshot of the part I'm talking. No, there is another method, but here, I'm going to take a screenshot of it, and that way I can fix it later. But I'll show you how to do what it is you want to do. You can have your cake and eat it too. Okay, let me pin that and get out of the way, because we're in danger of running late for class. Holding class late, so I have to get going here. All right, now we are at... Why did that change? Oh. What the heck? There we go. All right, support the show. Oh, I should change that. Yeah, okay. Support the show. And do I do a bumper for support the show? Should be the sound of money.
We've had this discussion, and I can't remember. I think
I do a bumper.
Yeah, it's still a separation.
Yeah, it's got a chapter mark. All right. And get back out. This week, I received a very generous donation from Paul Neelan to support the show. He wrote a note that included some tidbits I also thought were interesting. He wrote, long-term listener, retired mechanical engineer, woohoo! Would have donated sooner if you had Apple Pay. But NC 1017 was so good it got me over the PayPal login hump. Totally agree on Apple Notes. You say it so well and systematically. Notes could be so much better. Because the ergonomics are bad, it's hard to get into the flow. Reminders is the same way, too many keystrokes. Also, share is totally confusing to me too. Very few, if any, podcasts take the time to explain why they don't like something. Also greatly enjoyed your Geek Sky guest, so that's also confusing, and I learned quite a bit. Well, of course, I loved learning that I'm not the only one who finds Share and Apple Notes confusing and the ergonomics of the interface to be subpar. I was also intrigued that he said that if I'd had an Apple Pay button, he would have donated sooner. It kind of made me wonder how many people might not donate because it's a hassle to open a PayPal account. I did a bit of digging, and I think I understand a way I could have an Apple Pay button if I open a Stripe account. They take about the same processing fee as PayPal does for their service, so it wouldn't make much of a difference to me. I'll let you know when and if I get that working. Thanks so much, Paul, for the great idea and the lovely donation. All right. You've been on your best behavior? Kevin and Drunk Nick Nolte.
They're just commenting how it's been a little quiet.
Yeah, it is. It's high quality. Okay. Was that a cat?
Yeah, Grace just squeaked.
I just heard her.
Come here, Grace.
Okay. Where's Chit Chat? There we go. Actually, I might use something illegal.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I can hear the purring.
Do you want me to turn off the camera?
I hear purring.
Yeah, she's turned into a purr bucket.
This doesn't look right. Was the show on the 12th? Yeah, it was on the 12th.
You're talking about Chit Chat 803?
Yeah.
It says the 14th.
Let me see something. Oh, chapter mark. Almost forgot it, guys. It was this close. Get ready to start. I'm going to cheat and do something. Copy link. Copy link. There we go. Get ready to start counting your chapter marks because I'm almost done. The lovely donation. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Chit Chat Across the Pond. This is episode number 802 for November 12th, 2024, and I'm your host, Allison Sheridan. Hey, this week I welcome back to the show again, Adam Angst.
That's not the right one.
I'm afraid.
You just said 802. This
Yeah,
says
I had
803.
I had the wrong number in there.
In where? In the title or what you said?
In the when I read it out loud. It really is 803.
Okay.
So I could do one here. I'll do it the right way. I'll do this. And I'll do it the right way. I'll mix this again. Wait, was that Adam? Adam, you don't belong there. You belong down here. And Allison up here. Let's see. Do that, and that's him.
Oh, was that Adam's plank?
It is. I haven't deleted it yet. Here you go.
Plink.
Okay.
Pretty matter of fact. Plank.
Yeah. Okay, get rid of that. I got Jill to plink today for me.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be okay for Thanksgiving, Kurt. I have gotten quite a few things done, a bunch of little conversations, so I am good for that. Nick's package manager, that sounds fun. I have plinked before. Yes, I actually have some plink music here. The lovely donation. Well, it's that time of the week again. Oh, it's still going to say 803.
Yeah, I don't know what were you trying to do?
Never mind. Well,
I thought you were going to do a voiceover.
No, I did this. Hey, this week I welcome back to the show again, Adam Angst. So I started like that. Yeah, actually, I could do that.
It'll be hard to match the tone, but you could try.
Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Chit Chat Across the Pond. This is episode number 802 for November 12th, 2024, and I'm your host, Allison Sheridan. It's also got the wrong date. Nobody will notice.
I'll leave it.
Yep. Okay, let me see how this is going on.
Privacy regulations into play.
All right, from your lips to Congress's ears. Thanks for coming on the show, Adam.
Get on it. Get on it. Thanks again. Always fun.
Adam's a fun guy.
He's so great. I'm making him spend money. I made him buy a new mic, and now I'm going to make him buy a boom arm. I'm drawing him into our madness.
Hey, we are 4 minutes behind.
I know. Quit talking to me. You made me edit that twice. It would have been fine the way it was, but here we go. Okay. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeed.com anytime you like? If you have a question or a suggestion, just send it on over. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You can follow me on Mastodon at podfeed.com/Mastodon. If you want to join or listen, to the podcast on YouTube, you can go to podfeed.com/YouTube, like the kids like to do. If you want to join the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeed.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely Nosilla castaways. You can support the show at podfeed.com/Patreon, or what's his name? Paul Nealon. You can can't remember a name that long. You can support the show by going to podfeed.com/Patreon, or with a one-time donation like the lovely Paul Nealon did by going to podfeed.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Whew, there we go. Have you counted the chapters, Steve?
Yeah, I count 4 plus your 3 for 7.
All right, let's see how that looks. Stay subscribed. I was worried about enough contact. It's an hour and 25 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Good.
7. We are a wrap. Thank you for coming. A small but mighty group.
It's my pleasure.
At least we didn't have Kevin. Did we have an excuse from Kevin? I don't remember a written excuse.
Yeah, this one may be unexcused.
Did he think the time zone? You should ask him where he was.
No, it's been a couple weeks, right?
I know, but maybe he's confused. He's not all that bright. Probably didn't figure it out.
Hey, he's my wingman. He's plenty bright.
Oh, iOS grocery manager app called Bring. Well, that sounds fun too. Oh, helping with his church work. Okay, so he did have an excuse. Maybe he told us last week during the show. But you are now excused. We are a wrap.
We are a wrap.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.